All right, y'all. God's true calendar and holy days finally revealed. Welcome back to Priest Genesis Mode. Big G's, not the little ones. Here to feed the little ones. Everybody put those big G's in the chat. If I see a little one, you're getting put in the back. Hit the like button, share, subscribe. All praises to the Most High. If I got something in my beard, or maybe that's just white hair. Look like some oatmeal, but it's probably white hair. Yeah, good to see everybody. Hit that like button, share, subscribe. Let's give all praise, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh. We do so by Shema Mashiach Yahweh Shai. What's going on, y'all? Today we're going to talk about God's true calendar. We're going to talk about the holy days, when they fall, on what day, which month, the do's, the don'ts, the prohibitions, what you can do, what you shouldn't do, ritualistic things that we're supposed to do on these feast days. Everybody been asking, what do we do on this day? What do we do on this day? When is this day? And why are your guys' calendar almost a month before the rest of or most of the Israelite community? And so we're going to talk about that today, and I hope this is edifying. We do have the updated calendar for 2025, so stay to the end. We will get you guys the website for that so you can go and get the updated calendar so you can make provisions for your job, for your vacations and all of that. You'll know when the Sabbaths are going to fall, when the feast days are this Hebrew year. Understand that? He said there's an echo.
Nah, that's on his end.
Let me know if there's an echo, or is that just
That's him.
one person? Okay. But go ahead, Asad, speak on it. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, all praise to the Most High. I'm glad that we're able to go into this because we're going to show you all how to calculate the calendar and whatnot, because that's something that a lot of people are not familiar on how to do. And the scriptures give us, the instruments by which we're able to find these things out. This isn't like Deacon and myself. We just, shook a crystal ball and looked into it, and then we were able to, do this. So let me just read this quick scripture. This is Genesis chapter 1 and verse 14. It says, "And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years." So we're going to be able to show y'all, and y'all are afterwards going to be equipped to be able to do this on your own afterwards. So all praises to the Most High.
That's right. So if you were in the Genesis Varsity Online Academy specializing in Hebrew apologetics, you would have already got this breakdown already. So make sure y'all hit the email and sign up to the Genesis Varsity Online Academy specializing in Hebrew apologetics. We've been going mighty and strong through the Spirit for some time now. So all praises, pushing the envelope for surely, pushing the envelope for surely. Also, too, Hassad has an announcement. Go ahead, bring it out, Hassad. What's going on, man?
Yeah, all praise to the Most High, everybody. So anybody that knows me knows, it's been a long time coming, but again, all praise to the Most High. I got to keep saying that. My fiance and I are getting married next month, March 26th. So if anybody want to, send up a prayer, I would definitely appreciate it. After the lesson too, because I want to get into that before anything. I'll post my little registry and other ways that y'all can support if y'all want to in the chat. So all praise to the Most High. It's been a long. I'm telling you, if anybody has known me for a while, you know that this has been on some Jacob stuff. Like that's got to be my new name is Jacob.
He had to work, and over here he announced it on his channel, but over here it's just different. You know what I mean? On that pre-Genesis mode, it's just different. So we're gonna make sure that we show him some love, because y'all didn't show out last night on his channel, but on this show, we're gonna make sure we show the young phenom, the young scholar, some love over here once we get done with the presentation.
That's somebody just put that's a day before my wedding anniversary. That's crazy because not only that, and I didn't even mean for it to be like that, but it's 2 weeks exactly after Passover. You know what I mean? So that's very interesting.
All praises. Y'all go to YasharAllahTrends.com. This is not my brand. I know people hate supporting me. This is not for me. This is not mine. Go to the sister's website and go get you a Make Babylon Fall Again. I don't benefit off of anything. Don't worry. It's all to her. YasharAllahTrends.com. Make Babylon Fall Again. Also, too, I got my brother Above All Nations. Got that Above All Nations sweater on. Support him. I'm just trying to help brothers and sisters out. All praise to the Most High. So now let's get into it, y'all. Let's get into it. Put them big G's in the chat, not the little ones, here to feed the little ones. We are about to go into it, and I hope that Israel can get on one accord, at least with the calendar. We're so fractionated and divided when it comes to doctrine that, you know, it's very unfortunate, disheartening. I look at the state of our community and I'm crestfallen. You know, it's a travesty. And so we hope that bringing forth this truth, brothers and sisters in congregations and camps can, you know, recalibrate and calculate the true calendar of the Most High God as it is predicated on the Bible, history, and archaeology as well. All right. So without further ado, let's get this started. Let me take this off. Turn his TV off. Turn his TV off. Turn his TV off. Turn his TV off. Oh, if y'all trying to be at that Genesis Passover, make sure y'all tap in. Genesis Passover 2025. Hit my email for that link as well. All camps are invited. Come through to the Lord's Passover.
Right. And y'all gotta do that ASAP too. So don't don't procrastinate because ain't much time left. You know, Passover's coming up in what, 3 weeks? So make sure y'all get that in. It's gonna be in Charlotte, North Carolina.
All right. So we have let's see. Okay. All right. Y'all see that nice and clear? Let me see. Again, this is a varsity presentation. This is brought to you by Genesis Varsity Online Academy, specializing in Hebrew apologetics. Let me put us down so that we could let's see, if we do it like this, will it be in the way? Or will we be in the way? Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Okay, that should be fine right there. That should be fine right there. All right, Hassad, we're going to start now. Israelite High Holy Days, Feast Days, explained, the do's, the don'ts, the updated calendar, how you calculate, when do you start the year? That's what. So a lot of Israelites are a month off because they started when the Jewish community does. I love my brothers out there. I'll kill and die for you. Your calendar is matching Schinkelbergs and Rosenbergs. You got to question it. So I want to explain that. That probably comes up first. So when to observe them, how to observe them, dealing with the feast days, when to observe them, how to observe them. Oh yeah, this is like a 200 round drum. You're right. This is like a 200 round drum for y'all. Glock with the extras, with the attachments. All right, we're going to talk about how we establish them, when to observe them. So you know the Hebrew calendar. Each feast is in a particular Hebrew month and day, according to the Bible. Each feast is in a particular Hebrew month and day. We know the new moon constitutes the first day of the month. Sirach 43:8, also known as Ecclesiasticus. You want to read it inside?
Yeah, I got you. Sirach 43:8. It says, the month is named after the moon. Marvelous to watch as it grows fuller each night. a signal light for the heavenly armies shining out in the dome of the sky.
And that's in the GNT, the dome.
Yeah.
Let's not introduce that topic into the discussion.
That's a good scripture too to prove that the new moon is not the full moon. Because
I was just gonna say that. Go ahead.
And that's not a slight to anybody, but it's just, it is what it is. It says the month is named after the moon. Here's the point: marvelous to watch as it grows fuller. In the King James, I think in either the prior verses, it says basically it starts dark and then it grows, right? Which means it starts dark and then it, half moon, full moon, half moon again, and then it goes dark again to complete its cycle.
Con. And okay, so let's keep going. So when is the biblical New Year? When is the first day of the first Hebrew month? This is where all camps and congregations should listen close. The first month is called Abib, aka Nisan. Abib, aka Nisan, right? This is Josephus of the Antiquities of the Jews. You can read that, Hassad, and this is in section 3.
Yeah, read the longer one. I got you now. So it says, in the month of Xanthicus, which is by us called Nisan, and it's the beginning of our year, on the 14th day of the lunar month, when the sun is in Aries. Now, real quick, too, this is not another jab, but notice right here, it says the 14th day of the lunar month. It doesn't say the 15th, because you have some brothers and people that are wondering, what do you mean, Hassad? So there's certain brothers who believe that when the Bible says, for example, Passover, which is what this is talking about, when it says the 14th day at evening, that is talking about the 15th day. No, it's talking about the 14th day, which is why the Bible says that one, and then Josephus says that here too. So it's the beginning of the 14th day, right? This is the 14th day of the lunar month when the sun is in Aries. For in this month it was that we were delivered from bondage under the Egyptians. The law ordained that we should every year slay the sacrifice which I before told you we slew when we came out of Egypt, and which was called the Passover. And so we do celebrate this Passover in companies, leaving nothing of what we sacrificed till the day following. The Feast of Unleavened Bread succeeds that of Passover. And falls on the 15th day of the month.
Oh my God, that's a cut. That's a cut.
So notice it juxtaposes the 15th day from the 14th day and the Feast of Unleavened Bread from Passover. They're not the same day.
Wow.
It says, and continue 7 days wherein they feed on unleavened bread on unleavened bread. On every one of which days 2 bulls are killed and 1 ram and 7 lambs. Now these lambs are entirely burnt, besides the kid of the goats, which is added to all the rest for sins, for it is intended as a feast for the priest on every one of those days.
Now let's keep going. Abib, also known as Nisan, in the post-exilic period, is a month on the Hebrew calendar that has quite a bit of historical significance. Esther 3 and 7, the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of the king Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is the lot before Haman, from day to day and from month to month to the 12th month, that is the month Adar. Exodus 12 and 2. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year. Of Deuteronomy 16 and 1. Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. For in the month of Abib, the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night. All right, we're going somewhere. Somebody said through a right hook and left hook. We didn't even try to. You just called a flash hook where you accidentally knock a nigga out. All right, so Abib is the first month. It's also called Nisan, right? Exodus 9 and 31. When does it start? And the flax and the barley was smitten, for the barley was in the ear and the flax was bold, proving we went out while the barley was green. All right. This proves that we went out while the barley was green. And that was the first month. And on that 14th day, we had the Passover. Watch. What does it mean? This word in the Hebrew, Abib. It means fresh young barley, ears, green ears of month of ear forming, of greening of crop, of growing green Abib, month of Exodus and Passover. So the reason why camps and congregations and the Jewish white man has their calendar a month after their feast days, a month apart from how we do it, is because you guys are starting the first month when the barley is ripe. That is not correct Hebraically. You understand that? You want to say something, Assad?
No.
Strong's definition, green, young ear of grain. So, but when is the month of Abib? First, we have to see what does Abib mean. And we already went through it again. There's root words and the same. It's going to mean the same thing. The green ears of corn when the barley is green. The Gesenius Hebrew Chaldee Lexicon says an ear of corn, a green ear. And it mentions the scriptures that we quoted from. Law, the water for the super chat donation. Greatly appreciate you. So Abib means green, fresh, young barley. So the first month would have to start on the very next new moon after the barley is green in Israel. The reason why most camps and the Jewish folk have it wrong because they start the year on the new moon after the barley is ripe and golden, but that's not what the Hebrew says. So when we see the barley green in Israel, that very next new moon is the first day of the first month. Understand that? Put a 1, put a big G. To hell with a 1. Put a big G if you understand that. Put a big G if you undersmell me. You want to say something, Assad?
No.
That's ever clear. Big G if you want to smell me. All praises. This is what young barley looks like right here. You understand? This is what young barley looks like right here. So my beloved brothers in the camps and congregations, the Bible says it's you start it when the barley is green. This is ripe barley. This is when it's golden and ripe. You don't start it here. This is why it's so important to read the Hebrew and not the Talmud, because some of our brothers get caught up with Talmudic traditions. A Hebrew day is from evening to evening. Leviticus 23 and 32. You want to get involved, Assad?
Yeah, I got you. It says, "It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and you shall afflict your souls." This is in reference to the Day of Atonement. It says,
hold on, real quick. Somebody said barley harvest. This is why you're wrong. You don't start it when you harvest it. That's why you're wrong.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It says it was green when, that's the point Deacon was just making. It says it was green when they began the first month. It's not green when it's ripe. It's yellow. That's why the Bible went out of its way to mention what color it is. Like Deacon just showed in that last picture, that's when barley is ripe. That's what color it is. Like a banana. A banana is ripe when it's yellow. When it's green, usually you're supposed to wait until it's ready to eat. Similar situation. So it says Leviticus 23 and 32 again. "It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and you shall afflict your souls." Now, this is talking about the Day of Atonement when it says, "It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and you shall afflict your souls. In the 9th day of the month at even. From even unto even shall you celebrate your Sabbath." So like Deacon just illustrated, a day starts and ends at even.
Right. So let's continue. Feast days are determined by the moon. We read that at first. When Hassad, you read Genesis 1, I believe, and we read Sirach 43 and 7. We'll read it again for those who are just coming in. The moon determines the holy days. Its light grows full and then grows dim. Genesis 1 and 14, this is what we know. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. All right, feast days. Now, Leviticus 23 and 1. Somebody, you guys keep asking, so when is it? This year it is actually, the barley's already green over there right now. So the next new moon will be February 27th. So the first day of the first Hebrew month is February 27th in a few days here. You understand that? That is the first month. 1 second, speak real quick. Give me like
and somebody might say, "Oh, how could that be the first?" Because I see some brothers on social media. I think last year they were like, "How could this be? The new year? It's still the weather is still not the greatest." But even going back to that, Deacon, in Exodus 9, when it says, "And the flax and the barley was smitten," other translations say that it was smitten through hail. So the weather wasn't the best if it's still raining and even to the point it's so cold that it's hailing,
right,
which is a step right before snowing. That shows that even in the beginning of the new year, it can still have that kind of, I guess, what you would like we refer to as inclement weather. But you'll see just within days and even a week or two, you'll start to see it gets warmer and warmer, and that's how you know that the calendar is correct. But Leviticus 23 and 1, it says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feasts of the Lord, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts."
So the first feast of the year to keep would be the new year. Oh, you guys celebrate New Year? No, but it's if the new year falls on the new moon, which we have to celebrate that new moon. The new moon is the Sabbath as well. So it would be the new year. So if you guys are writing this down, it's on the calendar. And again, we're going to put the link to the updated calendar when we're done here. And this should be updated by the morning, Lord's will. It'll be on the site for you guys all to have. Which would be the new moon, dark moon, which is the Sabbath as well. If you guys want to look at how we believe the lunar Sabbath constitute the weekly Sabbath, you can just look at what's the title of our video? It got like 20,000 views already almost.
True Sabbath, I think you've been deceived.
True Sabbath finally revealed you've been deceived from a few months ago. All right. So this would be kept the first new moon after the barley is green. Everybody understand that according to the Hebrew. What do we do on that day? What don't we do on that day? What are the do's and don'ts of the new year? Well, it's a new moon, so no work, no buying, no selling. That's Amos 8 and 5, because the new year is a new moon. Saying, when will the new moon be gone, that we may sell corn, and the Sabbath, that we may set forth wheat, making the ephah small and the shekel great, getting that paper, and falsifying the balances by deceit. Leviticus 23 and 24, "Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall you have a Sabbath, a memorial of the blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein, but you shall offer an offering made unto the Lord." Just showing you that, yes, this was a specific one in the 7th month, but every new moon is to be kept and hallowed. All right. We're not making sacrifices, of course, because there is no temple. So it says you are supposed to gather and feast. You are supposed to gather and feast. Cooking before the sun goes down. I don't know why camp say you can cook on the Sabbath and cook on the new moons when we have preparation days. There would be no need for a preparation day. That's John chapter 19, Exodus 16, and other places. You want to speak on that? Okay. Remember that song with 50 Cent? I got a fully loaded clip. I got a fully loaded clip. I'll be on that. Numbers chapter 10, verse 10. Also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginnings of your months, not just the 7th month, but in the beginnings of your months, you shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings. This is new moons. And over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before the Lord your God. I am Yahweh, your power. So if you have a ram's horn, you should be blowing the trumpet in the new moon, according to the Bible, according to Torah. You might say, "Oh, that's just something little." I mean, listen, the least of the commandments. 1 Samuel 20:5. And David said unto Jonathan, "Behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with the king at meat. But let me go, that I may hide myself in the field until the 3rd day at even." Supposed to congregate and feast. I think that was it on the new moon. So the Sabbath feast day. So we're just going in order according to Leviticus, according to the Hebrew year. The first month will be the first day of the first month will be the New Year's, which is a new moon, and then you'll have a Sabbath day, and then you'll be approaching the next feast days. The Sabbath feast day, we at Genesis Keep the Lunar Sabbath. If you want to know more on that, request the link. Again, this is Genesis Varsity presentation. We already told you guys where to look up our Lunar Sabbath breakdown. The Sabbath feast is weekly, but what is permissible and what are the prohibitions? Oh, Hassad, we're gonna get some smoke on this one, so I'm gonna have you read this and break it down.
I got you. So you're not allowed to work. No working. Exodus 20:10. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it thou shalt not do any work. Thou, meaning you, nor your son, nor your daughter, your manservant, your maidservant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger that is within thy gates.
Now, it says your manservant or your maidservant. So if you had heathen servants, they are not supposed to be working. Keep going.
Exodus 31:14. You shall keep the Sabbath, therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people.
Mm-hmm.
No working means you can't buy or sell either, because no one would be working, right? Even when you look at the definition for the word work there, I can't remember what the Hebrew word is, but it means business. Somebody might say, well, where does it directly say you can't buy or sell? One, that's where. But two, if you own a business, let's say you're in Israel and you own a business, that's your job. That's your work, which means you wouldn't be able to operate work on that day. And if you're not able to operate work on that day and you sell goods, then no one will be able to buy from you, because you're not supposed to be working to begin with.
Right. I have some idiots, some Israelite idiots, some double eyes tell me that you can't work a job, but you can still buy or sell. If it's prohibited for a nigga to work a job and open a business, who the hell are you going to buy and sell from?
Exactly.
Or buy from?
Yeah. Why was Joseph of Arimathea so, he was so hasty to get Christ's body from Pilate before the Sabbath went down, and then he went and bought quickly the fine linen, because it was about to be the Sabbath, so he knew he had to hurry up and do that.
Right.
Nehemiah 10:31. And if the people of the land bring ware of any victuals on the Sabbath day to sell, that we would not buy it of them on the Sabbath or on the holy day, and that we would leave the 7th year in the exaction of every debt.
Even if the heathens were selling in our land because we were subjugated, we vowed not to buy from them. Even a heathen opening up shop. Let's keep going.
No cooking. You're not allowed to cook on the Sabbath either. Exodus 16:23. Now, this is the very first time the Israelites keep the Sabbath, is the book of Exodus. And it says, and he said unto them, this is that which the Lord hath said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath. This is the 21st day of the month, I believe, in Exodus 16 right here. So on the 21st, the Lord tells Moses to tell the Israelites, all right, look, tomorrow is the Sabbath. Bake that which you will bake today. Whatever you're going to bake it today. And seethe that you will seethe. Like seethe means to boil. So the premise of what it's saying is whatever you're going to cook, whether you're going to fry it, whether you're going to bake it, however you're going to cook it today. And that which remaineth over, lay up for you to be kept until the morning. Why would the Lord tell us to keep whatever lays up for us in the morning? Because we're not allowed to cook the following day, which is the Sabbath, this is the preparation day. So what we're supposed to do on the Sabbath is the day before the Sabbath, we're supposed to prepare for the Sabbath, which is why we usually, you cook twice as much that day so that you can have leftovers the following day, because you can't cook on the Sabbath. That's it on that, though. We can go to the next slide. Matthew 27:62. Here it goes right here. Now the next day that followed, the day of the preparation, the chief priests and Pharisees came together unto Pilate. What are they preparing for? They're preparing for the Sabbath. There's not a necessity to prepare for anything if you're allowed to cook on the Sabbath. This illustrates that you're not allowed to cook. Preparation day was we cooked our food before the Sabbath. Exactly. No laborious work. So it's not just commerce. It's no laborious work either. Numbers 15:32. Penalty for violating the Sabbath. Now, while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man gathering sticks on the Sabbath day. And those who found him gathering sticks brought him to Moses and Aaron and to all the congregation. They put him under guard because it had not been explained what should be done to him. They basically threw him in a cell and were like, hold on, wait, let's figure out what we're supposed to do with you. It says, and then the Lord said to Moses, the man must surely be put to death. Kill him. And the congregation shall stone him with stones outside the camp. So as the Lord commanded Moses, all the congregation brought him outside the camp and stoned him with stones, and he died. It's really interesting. Just, this is a sidebar, how, Europeans, I'll use the word carefully. Europeans always, refer to certain, Near Eastern cultures as primitive and things of that nature. Well, what would you call this? Would you call God, his culture, primitive? The culture that he told us to keep? Throw rocks at people till they die. You know what I mean? All right.
Bury them. No, listen, bury them feet first with their head up just outside of the dirt, right? And just throw rocks at their head.
You know what I mean? Make sure I like and share the video too, everybody. All praise to the Most High. So next slide, it says you are supposed to rest. That's what the word Sabbath means. It means rest. Exodus 34:21, 6 days thou shalt work, but on the seventh day thou shalt rest. In earing time and in harvest thou shalt rest. Mark 2:27, and he said unto them, the Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath. Therefore the Son of Man is Lord also of the Sabbath. The Sabbath was made for us to rest.
Right, not for the when it said the Most High rested, that Hebrew word means to cease from doing creation. I didn't say the Most High, but the Elohim rested. That means they ceased from creating. They just stopped. It doesn't mean they got tired. So, what is permissible? What can you do? Go ahead, Asad.
What is permissible? You can make love on the Sabbath. Now, some people, they decide, because they want to, they believe keeping the Sabbath holy, they abstain from doing that. They come to an agreement with their wife about it. That's your own personal thing. I'm not going to say what, I'm not going to get in the business between you and your woman on the Sabbath. However, we have to be very careful, because Deuteronomy 4:2 says, you shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish from it. And Paul says in Romans 4:15, where there is no law, there is no sin. So one, to add to the law is a sin. And where there is no where there's no law in the Bible that says you cannot do something, it is permissible. So it is permissible for a man and a woman to lay down with each other on the Sabbath day. There's no scripture that says that you can't. And
a lot of conjecture and rhetoric, though.
Exactly. And here's the thing. The scriptures are very clear on what days and when you're not allowed to do that act, right? We're all adults.
Intercourse.
Right. When you're allowed to have intercourse, when you're not allowed to. And you'll see the phraseology that it uses. For example, when Moses is going up to Mount Sinai and he tells them to stay at the bottom of the rock And I believe this is when we get the 10 Commandments in Exodus 20. And he says, come you not at your wives. It's very clear language that we get when the Lord tells us to not lay down with your woman. None of that is even remotely said for the Sabbath day. So that's that. Oh, sorry. Some go to Isaiah 58 to say that you can't. So let's examine that. Isaiah 58, first of all, this is not Torah, and it's actually talking about the Day of Atonement, which is also called a Sabbath. Leviticus 23 and 32, it shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and you shall afflict your souls. In the 9th day of the month at even, from even unto even, shall you celebrate your Sabbath. So when you're fasting, you're supposed to afflict yourself. That's the complete opposite of afflicting yourself. I saw somebody say, but wouldn't they both be unclean after? Yes, they would be. Here's the issue, not with your question, brother, but with a lot of people's understanding. We associate the word unclean, which is why I feel like the English translation of the word unclean, there's probably a better word in English that could be used, right? Because when you think of unclean, you think of negative, dirty, bad. But to be unclean is not a sin. I hope everybody understands that. For example, in Leviticus chapter 12, when a woman gives birth, she's unclean. Does that mean that it's a sin to give birth? It's a sin to have children? No. So there are things that you do that are sin that make you unclean. For example, if you eat pork, that's a sin. You're unclean. But just because you're unclean does not make you in sin.
Right. Yahweh Shai was unclean when that woman on her period touched him.
And when he healed the leper.
And when he healed the leopard. And we know he didn't sin. It's a sin if you go to the temple and be unclean.
Right. Leviticus 23 and 32.
Oh, you already read that?
I already read that. My bad. So this is Isaiah 58 and 3. It says, wherefore we have fasted. Have we fasted? Here we go. So here's the context in Isaiah 58. It's concerning fasting. Say they, and thou seest not. Wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge? Behold, in the day of your fast, you find pleasure and exact all your labors. So this is the Most High taking issue with you guys are having these basically, what would you like a half-ass kind of fast? You're doing whatever you want to do when you're fasting. You're not supposed to do that when you fast. When you're fasting, you're supposed to be afflicting yourself and coming closer to the Heavenly Father and, praying to him, things of that nature. You're not fasting, just doing whatever the hell that you want to do. It says, behold, you fast for strife and debate, and to smite with the fist of wickedness. You shall not fast as you do this day, to make your voice to be heard on high. Basically, there's a scripture in Sirach, Deacon, I think, when it says, when a man fasts, someone can help me in the chat, matter of fact, it's in Sirach. If you fast and then go and commit the very sin that you just got done fasting for, it's basically good for nothing. That's a similar thing to what's going on in Isaiah 58. We're fasting, but it's all in vain because of what we're doing it for, one, and what happens afterwards, too. Verse 5, it says, is it such a fast that I have chosen, a day for a man to afflict his soul? Is it to bow down his head as a bulrush and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him? Wilt thou call this a fast and an acceptable day to the Lord?
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, that's right. Verse 13, if thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, it's all right, 34 and 26, appreciate it. It says, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord, honorable, and shall honor him, not doing thy own ways, nor finding thy own pleasure, nor speaking thy own words. Now, again, some people will take this and say, see, you're not supposed to, what if you like reading the Bible on the Sabbath? Does that mean you're not allowed to do that?
Yeah, that's the next slide.
Oh, my bad. Look, we're locked in. That's what that means, because I haven't even seen this presentation. It says pleasure, praying, singing, reading the Bible, teaching, sleeping, holding. Well, I don't have children yet, but one day holding my children. So does that verse mean I can't do any of these things? Of course not. It's just saying don't defile the holy day by not treating it as a Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
You can leave your house. Now, some people think that you're literally not allowed to leave your house. And guess what? I was one of the people at one time.
Me too.
You're literally not allowed to leave your house on the Sabbath. But there's a big issue with that. Let's go to the next slide. Some use Exodus 16 to say you can't leave your house. Let's see. Exodus 16 and 29. They must realize that the Sabbath is the Lord's gift to you. That is why he gives you a 2-day supply on the 6th day, so there will be enough for 2 days, because you're not allowed to cook on the Sabbath. So he gave us twice as much manna on the 6th day, the day before the Sabbath, knowing that we're not allowed to cook on the Sabbath. It says, on the Sabbath day, you must each stay in your place. Do not go out to pick up food on the 7th day. There is an immediate context here in Exodus 16. It doesn't rain manna for us every single day. So that's a descriptive text, not a prescriptive text. That's describing what our ancestors did in the wilderness. It's not saying that every Sabbath day, we're not allowed to leave our house. That doesn't, even just practically, that doesn't make much sense. But he said to stay in and not to go out and pick food, because he had given us 2 days worth of food. It's simple. That's what he's referring to. We were outside on the Sabbath. Of course, not doing business or laborious work, but we were outside nonetheless. Luke 4:16. Christ was outside on the Sabbath, and Christ, came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and as his custom was, and he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up to read. Well, he didn't live in the synagogue, so he had to walk there. So not only did he go outside, but he also walked to the Sabbath and
a whole bunch of other people.
And a whole bunch of other people did as well.
Now, when people say, well, you can only go out for things pertaining to the Most High, that's not explicitly stated in the text. And we know the Torah is going to tell you straight up what it means.
Yeah. And matter of fact, if I may, there's a verse in Susanna. Do you have that up here?
I don't think so.
Okay. Let me see. I'm going to try to pull it up in the GNT. And I might be, let me see, Susanna, Lovey Gardens. I want to say it was the Sabbath. I can't. Now, someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not 100% sure of this, but I know in the book of Susanna, for time's sake, I'll just quote it. It says that Susanna and her husband, the house that they lived at, had a really nice garden, and their friends would come to their house. I want to say it was on the Sabbath. If it wasn't the Sabbath, then I apologize, but it said that they would come to their house and kick it there because it was a dope, a super nice pad. But I could be wrong on that. Either way, the point is Christ went outside on the Sabbath. So now what? All right. So it says, keep it holy. Exodus 20:8 states, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. The word Sabbath comes from a Hebrew word meaning day of rest. That's what the word Sabbath literally means, rest. And holy means something sacred or dedicated to God. The command to keep the Sabbath holy means to set apart the 7th day of the week from the rest and to dedicate it to the Lord. You can do the Lord's work on the Sabbath. John chapter 5, verse 11. And they asked him, what man is that which said unto thee, take up thy bed and walk? This is after Christ healed somebody on the Sabbath. And he that was healed wist not who it was, for Jesus had conveyed himself away, a multitude being in that place that he didn't know, because Christ dipped up out of there. Afterward, Jesus findeth him in the temple and said unto him, behold, thou art made whole, sin no more, lest a worse thing come unto thee. The man departed and told the Jews that it was Jesus which had made him whole. That's kind of lame, huh? This nigga just healed you, and here you go. Run in your mouth. It says, and therefore did the Jews persecute Jesus and sought to kill him because he had done these things on the Sabbath day. But Jesus answered them, my Father worketh hitherto, and I work. So Christ was doing, because it was righteous. It's good to do well on the Sabbath day. Right? That's what Christ did, because this wasn't the first time I believe that he healed somebody on the Sabbath. Mm-hmm. And then Christ cut them because he gave an example. He said, if your child is supposed to be circumcised, it's because you got to circumcise your child on the 8th day, when their 8th day of being alive. What if that falls on the Sabbath? Are you going to not circumcise them? That's a form, I guess, of work, one would say. Right. But are you going to break that commandment to try to, do keep the Sabbath? Or is it lawful to do well on the Sabbath?
Right. And that's why there's the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. Mm-hmm. Somebody said, Hassad, you said we can't go out and pick food, but Christ picked corn on the Sabbath. Please make it make sense. Did he cook? You want me to get him, Hassad?
No, it's fine. It's Exodus 16 is referring specifically to the manna that God gave us in the wilderness.
No, he's saying, oh, okay, I get what he's saying. Go ahead.
Yeah, in Exodus 16, when he said, don't go out and pick food because I've given you twice the supply the day prior to the Sabbath. What he's telling us in the context of Exodus 16 is God already provided food for us. You don't need to go outside and go pick any more food. I've already given you enough, twice as much on this day.
Descriptive versus prescriptive.
For example, what Deacon means by a prescriptive text versus a descriptive text. A prescriptive text, let's look at the word. It's something that is being prescribed to you, right? We are prescribed to keep the Sabbath. A descriptive text would be something like, well, the Lord told Noah to build an ark. We don't have to build an ark. That was what God told Noah to do. So it's just describing what Noah did, not prescribing what we have to do. No, I got you, King. I got you, brother. It's all good.
Yeah, no, you know me.
Am I talking in a tone that's like combative right now? I'm sorry.
No, I said something. He said, dang, Deacon. No, I was ready to go. I was ready to do it. You know me, bro. I'm ready to get it cracking. I'm ready to get cracking. All right, so look, you can fast on the Sabbath. A lot of people ask me that question. You can fast on the Sabbath. Some say because it's a feast day, you can't fast. Leviticus 23, 1-2. Speaking to these are my feast 6 days. So that's the Sabbath is a feast day. But the Day of Atonement is also a feast day that you fast on. Plus, Christ fasted 40 days. That would mean he fasted for multiple Sabbaths, just like Moses fasted for 40 days. That means, he fasted for multiple Sabbaths. Matthew 4, 1-2. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterwards a hungered. Exodus 34 and 28. Moses also fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. Lawful to do well on the Sabbath. I hear people saying that lawful to do well means you forgot to pack a lunch or something, or you forgot to buy dinner before sundown, and now that just gives you the right to break the Sabbath. Nah, at that point, you're willfully sinning. Lawful to do well is Matthew 12 and 12. How much then is a man better than a sheep? Wherefore it is lawful to do well on the Sabbath. Examples, charity. All right, that's what it's talking about. Now, go ahead.
What is well synonymous with good? What is good? Romans 7 and 12. The law is holy, just, and the commandment is good. That's why Christ gave the example of, well, what if your child needs to be circumcised on the Sabbath? Are you going to? It's good to keep the commandments. It's good to do the right thing. The parameter by which we use to judge what is good and bad is the law of God. So if you're negligent and you forgot to prepare for the Sabbath, does not give you a license to go and break the Sabbath because you were negligent. You're just gonna have to hold that one. And it's only one day. So I mean, I've got people that hit me up every now and then. I love people asking me questions, but I've had people hit me up like, hey brother, so I forgot to prepare for the Sabbath yesterday and I'm hungry. Can I go to McDonald's? You can't wait 24, you can't wait 16 hours. Let's be serious here. Anyway.
If you guys are asking about the calendar, I'm going to post it at the end of the presentation. The full updated calendar so you can give to your job, your family, your daycare, and all of that. All right. Just stay tuned until it's over, and then you'll be able to go on the website by tomorrow and get it that way as well. Okay.
Okay.
No, you was done?
No, somebody asked, can you fast during the week of unleavened bread? Absolutely not, because it specifically tells us that for 7 days, unleavened bread must be eaten.
Right. So we got that coming up. Don't jump the gun, y'all. We were just only thing we covered was the New Year and the Sabbath, the do's and don'ts and when it falls. All right. So we got all the rest of the feast days we need to cover. I told you this is a 200 round clip. Now, the Passover feast day. When is it? Leviticus 23 and 5. In the 14th day of the first month at evening is the Lord's Passover. This isn't the 15th day, or this would just be stupid to language it like this. It is the 14th day at evening. So after the day after the 13th is over, that sundown, that's the 14th. The 14th goes 24 hours. You eat it then, okay? The beginning of the 14th will be at night. That's when you eat the Lord's Passover. How do we observe it? Do's and don'ts. The first time we see the do's and don'ts for Passover is in Exodus chapter 12. You must get your lamb on the 10th day of the first month.
Mm-hmm.
The 10th day of the first month. Exodus 12:3. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. You may use lamb or goat as long as it's a year old. Verse 5, your lamb shall be without blemish. A male of the first year, you shall take it from the sheep or from the goats. Understand? Big G in the chat if you understand. Kill it on the 13th. Eat it at the beginning of the 14th.
Yeah, and not to confuse everybody. So that would be during the day of, because again, the day starts at even. The Passover is the same, it's synonymous with the Last Supper, is the Passover. So it starts at evening, but you kill it during the day, and then you eat it at night, which is the beginning of the 14th day. Hope that makes sense. I hope I really didn't confuse anybody by saying that. That's like, okay, for example, today is what, Friday? So let's hypothetically say Passover was today, right? It would be starting at sunset tonight. Today would be when the actual Passover meal would be eaten. But during the day is when you would kill it and prepare it to be eaten during the night.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that was better. Okay. Next slide.
You must eat it in haste. Don't just sit there. You remember on the Matrix? You remember on the Matrix when he was eating that steak, drinking the wine? I want to be rich, like an actor. Right. No, you listen. You eat the food in haste for a memorial or to commemorate how we ate it in haste, getting the hell out of Egypt. Exodus 12:11. And thus shall you eat it with your loins girded, shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and you shall eat it in haste. It's the Lord's Passover. You have to put the blood on your doorpost. Some people don't do that because we do these things in buildings or we rent venues, but that is a commandment to put the blood on your doorpost. Exodus 12:7. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two sides of the post. And hold on, let me put emphasis on this. Keep your shoes on. Don't have your pants off, because it says loins girded. Any nigga eating with his pants off, bro, you're out. Shoes on your feet.
If we catch you with your pants down at the Genesis Passover, I'm gonna have people grab you by each of your limbs, and we're gonna 1, 2. You're gonna be the next Passover. Matter of fact, we'll just kill you instead. No, I'm playing.
Father Pat, 14th day at even, because the day is from evening to evening. So as soon as the 13th day is over, that night is right when the sun down. That's the beginning of the 14th. That's when you eat the Passover. 24 hours after that is the 15th. Let me get another text for you real quick. Let me just help you out, my G. So you understand. Ezekiel 45:21. In the first month, in the 14th day of the month. Where the hell do you camps get the 15th day?
It literally says what it says. I would love for an explanation on this. Yeah, but so what some brothers would tell us is, 14th day, it really means 15th day. No, 14th means 14th, and 15th means 15th, brother.
Let me get him another one. Let me get him right. Can I get him right?
Can I bleed him?
Can I bleed him back? Let me bleed him real quick though. Real quick. I'm gonna help you out, my bro. Okay, here we go. Watch this. Can we run it up real quick? Okay, I'm gonna run it up real quick for you, bro, because I love you. And the camps, they got their Sabbath wrong, but I love them though still. I still love them. First Ezra. Watch this, y'all. Watch how I do this. Watch how I bleed them bad. Okay. Now I was gonna save this for a debate, but ain't nobody gonna debate us. So in the Torah it says the 14th day, and then in Second Chronicles 35:1, moreover, Josiah kept a Passover unto the Lord in Jerusalem, and they killed the Passover on the 14th day of the first month. First Ezra 7:10, and the children of Israel that were of the captivity held the Passover the 14th day of the first month. Ezekiel 45:21, in the first day in the 14th month, in the first month, in the 14th day of the month, you shall have the Passover.
3 witnesses.
And I can get more. I don't know where the camps get this 15th, because they don't know. They don't. Either they don't read
it. They're just not getting it.
You're not getting it. Okay. So go ahead, Hassan. You can take it from here.
All right. So it says, you have to put the blood on your doorposts, Exodus 12:7, and they shall take of the blood and strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper doorpost of the house wherein they shall eat it. This is all in commemoration of what our ancestors did in ancient Egypt. It says, what all do we eat? Exodus 12:8, and they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire. This isn't, you're not making curry goat. That's not what Passover is. It's not a curry goat. It says you roast it with fire and unleavened bread. So you cook a lamb or goat with fire. You eat it with unleavened bread and with bitter herbs. Now, people might wonder, well, what is bitter herbs? Horseradish, I believe, is a form of bitter herb. I think even just thinking simple romaine lettuce is a bitter herb, no?
Yeah, we've used that before.
Yeah. So I would prefer romaine lettuce to the horseradish for sure. But you can make like a little taco. That's what I do. I'll make like a little. I'll get the unleavened bread, put the lamb in it, get the lettuce, boom, make you a little Passover taco. All right, verse. Remember the next one. Okay, so how do we cook it? Roast the whole lamb with fire, no water. You're not boiling it. It says we can use oil and seasoning. I don't know if you're not seasoning your lamb, something's definitely wrong with you, and you might need to get a genetic test to see if you're actually an Israelite.
Are you Jake? Are you Jake?
Right. Eat it all. If any remains, burn it with fire. That's such an important point. When you're done eating, you don't just, okay, let me save this for leftovers, and I'm gonna, freeze it and put it in the freezer, and I'm gonna eat it in a couple. No. And you don't put it in the garbage bag either to just let the postman or the garbage man get it. You're supposed to burn it all, right? So if you have a backyard, you have a fire pit, burn it all.
They're going to have to burn it off.
Verse 9, eat not of it raw. If you're sick if you eat just raw anything, nor sodden it all with water, but roast with fire, his head with his legs and with the pertinence thereof.
Yeah, you're supposed to not put it in the oven unless you got a big ass oven. You got to burn that whole thing. That's what the book say. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And you shall let nothing of it remain until the morning. And that which remaineth of it until the morning, you shall burn with fire. We must be circumcised to eat the meal. If you haven't got your Johnny snipped, you're not supposed to eat the Passover. You're not allowed to. Next one. Verse 40. Verse 48. And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee and will keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised. Who is this stranger right here? This is an Israelite, right? This is a Israelite that doesn't live in the land of Israel. How do we know? Verse 43 says, I think the very first rule for the Passover, Exodus 12:43. And the Lord said unto Moses, this is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof. The Hebrew word there for stranger is ben, son, nekar, heathen. No son of the heathen is allowed to eat it, right? But this stranger right here is this is an Israelite stranger, right? That's just a sidebar. But anyway, it says, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land. For no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. Period, point blank. Everyone is supposed to keep it, even Israelites who are not in the truth. Shoes on, clothes on, and staff if you can get one.
Yeah, and you know, like if you're, that's what it says. That's what it says. But dealing with the Israelites who are not in the truth, because imagine an Israelite back in our days
Yeah, I
not
don't
keeping.
believe in God, nigga.
Man, you're gonna get, hey, get out of here wearing this Zeeks.
That's what the priest would literally. You don't believe in God? We are the authority. That's what the priest would have said. We are the authority on the scriptures. We
That's
say
just like
you
saying that the Israelite back in Israel didn't have to keep the Sabbath if he didn't believe.
You know how many wicked niggas would have been doing whatever they want?
Yeah,
Well,
uncircumcised males. Let me say this: uncircumcised males, you can't eat the Passover meal, but you do have to keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and we'll explain that.
It'd be like saying you don't have to obey the traffic signal and speed limit if you don't believe in America. The cop pulls you over. Do you know, sir, that you were going 90 and a 60? Well, yeah, but I don't believe in America. Oh, have a good night. Sorry.
You get a pass.
Right.
You get a pass, my friend. Oh, you're sovereign? Oh, you're a sovereign Moor. Okay. Billy Clapham. Why do we drink the wine? Matthew, go ahead, brother. You got this.
Come on, Matthew 26 and 26. Now, as they were eating, Jesus took bread and after blessing it, broke it and gave it to the disciples and said, "Take, eat, this is my body." And he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, "Drink of it, all of you, for this is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. I tell you, I will not drink again of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." So boom, we drink wine, and part of what the Passover represents is the Messiah as well. That's a good scripture too, though, to prove that the law is going to be kept in the kingdom, because he's telling you the Messiah is that he's going to keep Passover in the kingdom.
Now, here's where we get into apologetics, because why does the New Testament group everything together? And this is why a lot of camps have their feast days wrong. And this is like, I'm not beefing. This is no camp beef. This is just true, because they rather deal with the Greek New Testament and the way we did things post-exilically than how it was before we ever went into captivity, which is Torah based. So why does the New Testament group everything together? Like the New Testament groups unleavened bread with Passover, when the Torah, and even Josephus is saying the 14th and the 15th. But the authors of the Greek New Testament are grouping everything together. Why? Because we can see us losing our tradition, being in captivity after captivity after captivity after captivity. Luke chapter 22, verse 1. Now the Feast of Unleavened Bread drew nigh, which is called the Passover. As we see, we call the entire week Passover, even though Passover is only one day. We did this because on Passover, we also ate unleavened bread. Mark 14 and 1. After 2 days was the feast of the Passover and of unleavened bread. And the chief priests of the scribes sought how they might take him by craft and put him to death. Why did they call Passover the Feast of Unleavened Bread? As we see in Leviticus 23, 5-6, Passover and unleavened bread are two separate days. So why did the New Testament authors appear to group them together? This is the Encyclopedia of Judaica. The Feast of Passover consists of two parts: the Passover ceremony and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Originally, both parts existed separately, but at the beginning of the Babylonian exile, they were combined. After we go into captivity, we start to not keep the pure ordinances which was once given to us, especially after the Hellenistic period. Right? And I love a good challenge on this. As we see after Babylon, our ancestors started to merge these two events together, which begs the question, did the Messiah keep the wrong Passover?
Yeah. So, and guess what? People accuse us of saying that. That's not what our position is. So if you've forwarded that position, you're lying on us.
Wow. Here comes
knocking you out unconscious when I said, no, I'm playing.
I'm tasing you and pepper spraying you. Here goes the smoke part of it, I guess. I guess we could prepare for smoke. Why did they call Passover the first day of unleavened bread? This is Antiquities of the Jews, book 3, chapter 10, paragraph 5. We read this earlier. It said Nisan is the beginning of our year, 14th day of the lunar month. That's Passover. And then it says the following day is the fifth is the feast of unleavened bread. It succeeds that of Passover falls on the 15th day of the month. So we have Josephus, we have the Torah, and we have the sources explaining why we even were grouping certain feast days together, right? Fourth is the Passover, a feast in which each layman acts as priest, interpreted by Philo as the crossing from the passions to wisdom. Fifth, this is Philo's works, is unleavened bread. So Philo is, and this is an excerpt from Philo's work, the special laws, right? Paragraphs 145 to 161. Philo says, we got you guys. Listen, the calendar is coming at the end of the presentation. We need you guys to hear this first. How you going to keep the calendar properly if you don't even know how to keep the feast days, the do's and the don'ts, the prohibitions and what's permissible? So even Philo says he's going through the feast days, and he counts Passover as the fourth one and unleavened bread as the fifth one. So they're not the same. Stop listening to Ashkenazim. As we see, we have first century writings that further establish the Passover not being the same day as the first day of unleavened bread. Here's your specialty, Assad. Get everybody mad at you.
Here we go. So Matthew 26 and 19, it says, and the disciples did as Jesus had appointed them, and they made ready the Passover. Now, when the even was come, he sat down with the 12. So this is Christ, and he's keeping Passover with the 12 disciples, the Last Supper. Christ eats the Passover in the even, just like Leviticus 23 says to. Now, same book of Matthew, chapter 26, verse 57, and they that had laid hold on Jesus led him away to Caiaphas, the high priest. So let's look at the timeline with Christ and then him dying. So yes, can you zoom in, Papa Bashar? That people can't really read it. It's a miracle that I can even read it.
I don't think I can zoom in, bro.
Just use your pause. Your fingers, your two fingers like this, and kind of like, you know what I'm talking about?
Nah, this is on my PC.
Okay, that's fine.
Let me see something real quick.
That's fine. I can read it. I mean, the chat should be able to read it too. It's not that bad. Or chat, y'all can zoom in on y'all screen. Y'all can just hit Command plus, or my thing. I can just use my two fingers and zoom in. But so anyway, so Christ keeps the Passover, right? He eats the Last Supper, and then remember Judas leaves because he betrays Christ, and then Christ goes into the Garden of Gethsemane with the disciples, and they.
Oh wait, hold on. This is two. Hold on, wait, my bad. I think. Okay, that's there good. We go. That's good. That's good.
So then Christ goes into the Garden of Gethsemane and he prays, Father, if it be possible, take this cup from my hand. Nevertheless, not my will be done, your will be done. And he comes back and the disciples are asleep. And he rebukes him like, damn, y'all niggas can't even, I'm about to die. Y'all can't even stay up and protect me. Then Judas comes.
Hold on. Let me get us out the way. Okay, go ahead.
Peter cuts the high priest servant's ear off. And then Christ says, sheathe your sword, Peter. You know, those that live by the sword will die by the sword. Then Christ gets apprehended. He gets apprehended and they hold him until the morning. Then they have the trial. Look, that's what it says in verse 57 in John 18 and 28. And they that had laid hold on Jesus led him away to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled. This is the council that they had. John 18 and 28, Jesus' trial before Caiaphas ended in the early hours of the morning. So this is the morning after Christ had already eaten the Passover. Then he was taken to the headquarters of the Roman governor, Pilate. His accusers didn't go inside because it would defile them and they wouldn't be allowed to celebrate the Passover. They're still waiting to keep the Passover. Some of our people were. But Christ had already ate Passover the night prior. Put a 1 in the chat if y'all see that.
No, a G.
A big G, not a lowercase g, a capital G in the chat if you see that.
Oh, that's a dagger. That's a dagger, man. I really wanted to listen. We really wanted to save this for a lunar Sabbath debate, but you guys got it, so it's all good. Christ didn't keep the Passover with a lot of Israel back then because they are keeping it the Greco-Roman way, trying to merge our calendar with theirs.
So all praise to the Most High. Christ didn't keep the wrong Passover. Some of our people kept the wrong Passover at this time. Christ kept the correct Passover, the 14th day at even. So when does Jesus keep Passover? The Bible says Christ ate the Passover, got betrayed by Judas, and then was arrested and held until his trial in the morning. But the priests haven't kept Passover yet because they kept it on the following day, which is the wrong day. To further prove this, let's read these two verses. John 13:27 in the NLT. When Judas had eaten the bread, Satan entered into him. Then Jesus told him, hurry and do what you're going to do. None of the others at the table knew what Jesus meant. Since Judas was their treasurer, some thought Jesus was telling him to go and pay for the food or to give some money to the poor. This is very important. So Judas left at once, going out into the night. This is when Judas leaves, and then when he comes back, they apprehend the Messiah. At the Last Supper, which again is Passover, the disciples thought Judas was being sent to buy something. How could he if the Passover is the first day of unleavened bread, and according to Leviticus 23:6-7, the first and last days of unleavened bread are the Sabbath? We got brothers going around, and saying a shot to them, but this is something that brothers got to address. They believe the 14th, the Passover is in the first day of unleavened bread is the same day, basically. Well, the first day of unleavened bread is the Sabbath. How is it that the disciples could think that Jesus told Judas to go buy on the Sabbath? You don't think they would have been, hold on, wait a minute, Christ. You remember it's the Sabbath day. Oh, I forgot. My bad. Thanks, Thomas. No, because it wasn't the Sabbath. All right.
We don't have to read all of this. I think we're just beating a dead horse. Now, Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, Leviticus 23:6. And on the 15th day of the same month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. 15th day, Feast of Unleavened Bread. It's not Passover. It's the Feast of Unleavened Bread. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. And the first day you shall have a holy convocation, you should do no servile work therein. Not only that, Philo says your Feast of Unleavened Bread and your Feast of Tabernacles has to fall on the weekly Sabbath. Uh-oh. Let's not talk about that, though. The first day of the feast is a Sabbath, and the last day is a Sabbath, Exodus 12:16. And in the first day, there shall be an holy convocation. And in the seventh day, there shall be a holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. You must eat. That's the question. So remember, you guys said, can you fast during unleavened bread? Here's the commandment saying, no, you can't. Why? Because you have to eat unleavened bread each day. Do's and don'ts. You can't eat leavened bread for 7 days. You should know that. Jeremiah 29 says a day starts in the morning. Put the blunt down, my boy. Exodus 12:15. 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread. That's a commandment. You have to eat unleavened bread, and then you have to get all the leaven out of your house. And if you eat leavened bread from the first day until the seventh day, your soul shall be cut off from Israel. So it's very important. Remove all the leaven from your house. Now, I got some people say, well, can I put it in my car? Can I put it in the guest house, in the pantry? I mean, the damn garage. Get it off your property. So don't take your EBT card, dummy, and go grocery shopping 3 days before Passover, before unleavened bread, rather, because you're going to have to get that leaven out. So probably not buy leaven a week or the two leading up to Feast of Unleavened Bread, so you're not wasting all your food and money.
No, Passover is not a Sabbath. Passover is the day before the Sabbath.
So Exodus 12:19, 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses, for whosoever eateth that which is leavened, Even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. Feast on unleavened bread during the 7 days, meaning eat unleavened bread during the 7 days. Exodus 12 and 20, you shall eat nothing leavened, in all your habitations shall you eat unleavened bread. Everybody understand that? All praises. Animal sacrifice during every day of the feast. This is true. Leviticus 23 and 8. But you shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. And the 7 days of holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. We don't have a temple, so we cannot do that. Let me go. Philo on unleavened bread. He just talks about but to the 7 day. This is a we got to throw a shot. We have to throw a shot. Philo says in the Decalogue on 161, but to the 7 day of the week, he assigned the greatest festivals, meaning the Feast of Tabernacles and unleavened bread. Those are our greatest festivals. They both last a week. And he's saying that they both have to start on the weekly Sabbath. Why? Because we kept the Sabbath according to the new moon, the lunar Sabbath, according to history, archaeology, and prophecy, right? Let's keep going. Oh, okay, you could do this one.
All right. So now the makeup Passover, the second month on the 14th at even. We're going to talk about the makeup Passover now. Anyone who is unclean can keep the Passover unless you are unclean by way of a dead body. Numbers chapter 9, verse 10. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if any man of you or of your posterity shall be unclean by reason of a dead body, or be in a journey afar off, yet he shall keep the Passover unto the Lord. So if someone dropped dead in front of you, and because of that you can't go to the Passover, then there's a day the following month, and literally in exactly 1 month you keep the Passover that day. Or if it's too far for you, if you're stuck in Bangladesh and you can't get to Israel, then you just wait to get to Israel the next month. That's what we would have done in the ancient days.
Somebody says, I was told by a man in Christ, whether in the body or not in the body, I cannot tell, that you can take all the leaven and store it outside your house, then bring it back in after unleavened bread instead of throwing it away. What's your thoughts on that, Akim? I mean, I may have done that in all my years, but it's better to be safe and just not buy leaven rather, leading up to the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Numbers 9 and 10. Go ahead. This on you? Oh no. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. Verse 11. Okay. Speak unto the children. The 14th day of the second month at even shall they keep it and eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs.
All right, next one. Keep going. Now we're going in order. And when you guys see the calendar, you'll see the order. It's the same. You can just read Leviticus 23. It tells you in order.
It says Feast of First Fruits, a.k.a. Feast of Weeks, a.k.a. Pentecost, a.k.a. Feast of Harvest.
This feast day has so many different names, like First Fruits, Feast of Weeks, Pentecost, Feast of Harvest. Like, can you just give us one? This is how you know we are the Israelites were some niggas, man. We will name one thing, 40 different names. Like your child. You call him Stinkerbutt, you call him Ray, you call him.
What are we talking about? Bro, got 30 names. You was talking
bro. Reverend Maccabee's got 30, 40 names. Somebody said cream of wheat. Oh, cream of wheat, man.
All right.
Hey, cream of wheat. Hold on, I got a question. Cream of wheat or grits? You got a gun to your head. You got to make a choice. What is it, Hassad?
Grits.
Grits?
Yep.
Okay. Exodus 23 and 16. Go ahead.
Yeah, and not with sugar, with salt and butter. Facts.
Okay.
In the feast of the harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the fields, and cheese grits, by the way, And the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the fields. Leviticus 23:10. Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when you be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. And he shall wave the sheaf before the Lord to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it.
I'm getting hungry. Niggas is talking about grits.
Bro, I'm thinking about, and I hate Waffle House, but I'm thinking about Waffle House right now.
No, remember we was in Atlanta. We went to that place. What's it called? Fins and Feathers.
Yeah.
That man, the salmon with the grits, the salmon with the cheesy grits. Lord in Christ, let's hurry up and end this, brother.
Yeah, I'm
Now I'm playing. We got about 70 more slides. Let's get the spiritual food first. Then everybody can eat after that. Look at everybody in the chat talking about food. Go ahead, brother.
So I'll read it again. Speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, when you be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest, and he shall wave the sheaf before the Lord to be accepted for you on the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it.
Mm-hmm.
And you shall offer.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
And you shall offer that day when you wave the sheaf in he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto the Lord. Obviously, it's against the laws of God to sacrifice outside of the temple in Jerusalem, so we can't do that. For anybody that was asking, well, what do we do about the sacrifice part? Deuteronomy 12 tells us we can't sacrifice outside of the land. So
now this is a commandment, though. Salakia, to cut you off, brother.
Yeah,
I think we've been telling them that since unleavened bread, but this is a commandment that a lot of Israelites don't keep during the feast of fruits. It says no eating bread, parched corn, or grains on that day. I mean, that's just what it says. So, I mean, unless you're saying it's only for the high priest, Leviticus 23:13-14, and the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto the Lord for a sweet savor, and the drink offering thereof, shall be of wine of the fourth part of an hin. And you shall eat neither bread, nor parched corn, nor green ears until the self same day that you have brought an offering unto the Lord your God. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations and all your dwellings. So what I would say is that we can't do the sacrifice part, but on this day we should not eat bread, parched corn, or grain. That's what the text says. Now this is how you determine when it is. You could do this one, bro.
Okay.
How do we determine the feast of first fruits?
Leviticus 23:15. Make sure I like and share the video, by the way. It says, and you shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. So you count 7 Sabbaths. Verse 16, even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall you number 50 days. So some people take it, it's just 50. No, it's 7 Sabbaths and 50 days.
That's what the text says. And a lot of camps, this is why a lot of camps also are a month after us, as well as the white Jews. They're a month after us because they think it's just 50 days. Now, just like how we, being in captivity, we grouped unleavened bread and Passover together, we also grouped Pentecost up to just 50 days because Pentecost means 50, and we'll get the source on that as well. Keep going.
Okay. It says from the second day of unleavened bread, which is the 16th of the first Hebrew month, you count 7 Sabbaths plus 50 days. And that brings you to the 5th new moon of the year, which is the 5th month of the year, which is also the new moon / Sabbath. And I'm pretty sure, if not, I'm going to get it. John chapter 4. For anybody that's, disagreeing with the counting 50 days on top of these 7 Sabbaths, you're not going to be able to put a harvest in after just 7 Sabbaths, after just 7 weeks. It's going to be way longer than that. You plant something in the ground, you're not going to be able to harvest it after just 7 weeks. So this is why Christ tells you in John chapter 4, let me just read it real quick. And if Deacon has it up, then we can just skip it. This is why Christ says in John chapter 4 in verse 35. Do you have John 4 and 35 on here?
My bad, I walked away. Did you read this last one?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Yahweh Shai confirm. Okay, there we go. Yeah.
Okay. It says
Locked
Yahweh
in.
Shai,
Locked in, razor sharp.
all praises. Yahweh Shai confirms Feast of First Fruits is in the 5th month. John 4 and 35. Say not ye, there are yet 4 months. Excuse me. Say not ye, there are yet 4 months, and then cometh harvest. Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white, all ready to harvest. Now, in John 4, he's not talking about when he said the fields, they are ready to harvest. In that context, he's not talking about a literal harvest. But the point is, he still acknowledges the literal harvest is a 4-month period.
Mm-hmm. Right. And somebody asked about the second Adar. We're going to talk about Adar 2 as well, where you have to add a 13th month every few years to the Hebrew calendar. Shalakia. But yeah, Yahweh Shai confirms that from that 7 Sabbaths, plus rather 50 days, about 100 days is when you get the harvest from the time. So the do's and don'ts of first fruits. All right, it will be the 5th month of the first day. All right, first day of the 5th month. That will be your first fruits. You treat it as a Sabbath and feast, obviously cooking before sun goes down. Leviticus 23 and 21, and you shall proclaim on the self same day that it may be in holy convocation unto you. You shall do no servile work therein. It shall be a statute forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations. Josephus on first fruits. It's the Antiquities of the Jews, 3.237 to 3.257. And while they suppose it proper to honor God, from whom they obtain this plentiful provision, in the first place, they offer the first fruits of their barley, and that in the manner of the following. So, being that we don't have a temple, let's say you guys have a garden or you have, a farm. We don't have a temple. We did bring our agriculture to the temple as well. So don't go trying to make a shrine or an altar, because that is against the Torah. All right. So it says, and that in the manner of the following, they take a handful of ears and dry them, and they beat them small and purge the barley and the grain. They bring the 10th deal to the altar to God, and they cast a handful of it on fire. They leave the rest for the use of the high priest. After this, they make publicly or privately reap their harvest. So you're not supposed to reap your harvest until you give your 10% of it. They also, at this participation of first fruits of the earth, sacrifice a lamb as a burnt offering unto God. When a week of weeks has passed over after this sacrifice, which weeks contain 49 days, on the 50th day, which is Pentecost, but it is called by the Hebrews Asartha, which signifies Pentecost, they bring to God a loaf made of wheat and flour of 2 tent deals with leaven, and for sacrifices they bring 2 lambs. As we went into captivity, we started calling first fruits Pentecost, which means 50. But that's incorrect. Why? Because we proved first fruits is about 100 days after the first day of unleavened bread, not 50. Pentecost, you will see that in Acts chapter 2. You'll see it in Acts 20 and 16. You'll see it in 1 Corinthians. You'll even see it in Tobit and Maccabees. You will see it there, but this is all post-exilic. This is when in our post-exilic stages. All right. So Feast of Trumpets. Feast of Trumpets. When is it? How do you determine it? What do you do? What are the do's and don'ts? Go ahead, Asai. You got this one.
Leviticus 23 and 24. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall you have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets in holy convocation. Also, quick sidebar, how ironic is it that every time we see the Sabbath being kept in the Bible outside of the Day of Atonement, it's on the 1st, 8th, 15th, or 22nd? That's very ironic, isn't it?
Yep.
Is it ironic that coincides perfectly with the phases of the moon? Yep. I guess so.
That's crazy.
All right. So here we got the memorial blowing of trumpets. What are the do's and don'ts? It's a Sabbath. So the same do's and don'ts for the regular Sabbath. Leviticus 23 and 25. You shall do no servile work therein, but you shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying,
Why did I? Oh, okay. Verse 20.
Blow
Go ahead.
blow the trumpets or shofar. Shofar, like ram's horn, basically. That's what a shofar is.
You have to blow that trumpet according to the Torah.
Numbers 29 and 1. And in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work. It is a day of blowing the trumpets unto you. Numbers 10 and 10. And on your joyous occasions, your appointed feasts, and the beginning of each month. Remember, the trumpets is the first day of the month. So it's the beginning of each month, the new moon. You are to blow the trumpets over your burnt offerings and fellowship offerings to serve as a reminder for you before your God. I am Yahweh your God.
Right. So 7th month, first day. Now we got the Day of Atonement. That's also in the 7th month. So it says Leviticus 23 and 27. Also on the 10th. It's really easy. Once you other camps, we love you guys, but once we realize, let me just say we in general, once we realize that the first day of the first month is the new moon right after the barley is green, then you'll be able to plug all of this in with the moon cycles, as our ancient ancestors did, not waiting until it's ripe. That's not Hebrew, that's not Torah, that's not biblical. So verse 27, also on the 10th day of the 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation unto you, and you shall afflict your souls and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It's a Sabbath with extra restrictions. The Day of Atonement is a Sabbath with extra restrictions. Why? No buying, selling, cooking, eating, drinking, or sex. This is a Sabbath with extra restrictions. The ancient ancestors call it, the extra biblical sources call it a Sabbath of Sabbaths. What does it mean to afflict your soul? Psalms 35 and 5. Because some people say you're not supposed to fast. It don't mean you have to fast on the Day of Atonement. But when they were sick, I wore sackcloth. I afflicted myself with fasting. I prayed with my head bowed on my chest. Philo on the Day of Atonement. The feast held after the trumpets is a fast. Perhaps some of the perversely minded who are not ashamed to censor things excellent will say, what sort of fast is this in which there are no gatherings to eat or drink? Even Philo says we're not eating and drinking on this day, we're fasting. For it is through these acts of unmitigated surrender to fleshly pleasure, that men, in their ignorance of what true merriment is, consider that the merriment of a feast is to be found. So he says some wicked Israelites try to say we could eat during this time. This is clear, seeing eyes of Moses, the ever-wise discern, and therefore he called the fast a feast. The greatest of the feasts, in his native tongue, a Sabbath of Sabbaths, or as the Greeks would say, a 7 of sevens, holier than thou. Wow, that is the Day of Atonement, and you can read about it in Leviticus 16, Numbers 29, 7 to 11. And you shall have on the 10th day of the 7th month a holy convocation, afflict your souls. You shall do no servile work. You shall offer burnt offerings, a sweet savor, a young bullock, a ram, and 7 lambs of the first year. They shall be unto you without blemish, and their meat offering shall be of flour mingled with oil, 3 tenth deals to a bullock, and 2 tenth deals to 1 ram, a several tenth deal of 1 lamb throughout the 7 lambs, 1 kid of the goat. So we're supposed to offer those offerings. Josephus on the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, Antiquities of the Jews, 3 and 10, also 3, 240 to 243. On the 10th day of the same lunar month, they fast till the evening. So yes, you have to fast. Understand? And on this day, they sacrifice a bull, 2 rams, and 7 lambs as a kid and goats for sins. And in addition, they bring 2. So it is on the 10th day. Some camps say no. It's on the 10th day. Some camps try to say that it's on the ninth. The ninth that evening means 10, but we have extra biblical primary sources saying that no, it's on the 10th day. It's a double Sabbath. This is like the only double Sabbath in the Bible, in Torah. Because Leviticus 23 and 32 says, "It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest. You shall afflict your souls. Then in the ninth day of the month that evening, from evening to evening, shall you celebrate your Sabbath." How do we know that it's because, for one, the Day of Atonement is on the 10th. So why would it say the ninth here? That means the ninth day of the month would be your weekly Sabbath, where you skip. There's your transitional days, where you skip a couple days and then you don't do the 7th day, or we would say the 8th, but you don't do the 7th weekly day. You would skip it. You would go to that ninth day at evening. You would keep your Sabbath. And then the next day, you would have the Day of Atonement. Why? Now, even in the LXX, in the Greek Septuagint, this proves that it is a double Sabbath. The ninth would be your weekly Sabbath, and then the 10th would be your Day of Atonement. This is Leviticus 26 and 32 in the Greek Septuagint. It says, "It shall be a holy Sabbath to you, and you shall humble your souls from the ninth day of the month. From evening to evening, you shall keep your Sabbaths," plural. Understand that? Standing tomorrow, do y'all see that as a new date, huh? The double Sabbath is so that we don't have to work and have a day and we get a day of rest before we fast and afflict ourselves. So the Most High is trying to give us a benefit, a privilege, some type of luxury. Because imagine having the Day of Atonement, you having to have a work day before that, going into the Day of Atonement. So that's why it's a double Sabbath. You could do this one, brother.
It says Feast of Tabernacles, which personally, this is my favorite feast day. Feast of Tabernacles, aka Feast of Booths, aka Feast of Ingathering. And notice too, a lot of these feast days are centered around, outside of a few, our agriculture. So this is Exodus 23 and 16. "In the Feast of Harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the fields, and the Feast of Ingathering, which is in the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the fields." Next slide. This is one of the 3 feasts you had to appear in Jerusalem. So that last verse we read is the 3 feasts that we have to go. We have to appear before. All males must appear in Jerusalem. We see that in Acts chapter 2. It says, "And when the day of Pentecost was fully come," what chapter is Acts 2 and what verse is this?
This is verse 2, but it's just talking about, you guys all know this, all these Jews dwelling at Jerusalem, they came for the Feast of Weeks, which is also called Pentecost. They come for unleavened bread, and they come for tabernacles.
Exodus 23 and 17. 3 times in the year all thy males shall appear before the Lord God. Deuteronomy 16 and 16. 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord your God, in a place which ye shall choose, in the Feast of Unleavened Bread, in the Feast of Weeks, and in the Feast of Tabernacles. And they shall not appear before the Lord empty.
Tax.
Yeah. Verse 13. "And thou shalt observe the Feast of Tabernacles 7 days. After that thou hast gathered in thy corn and thy wine. 7 days in booths or tents. First day a Sabbath, and after the last day is a Sabbath." Leviticus 23 and 33. "And the Lord said to Moses, Give the following instructions to the people of Israel. Begin celebrating the festival of shelters on the 15th day of the appointed month, 5 days after the Day of Atonement. This festival to the Lord will last for 7 days. On the first day of the festival, you must proclaim an official day for a holy assembly, when you do no ordinary work. For 7 days, you must present special gifts to the Lord. The 8th day is another holy day on which you present your special gifts to the Lord. This will be a solemn occasion, and no ordinary work may be done that day. According to Philo, your Feast of Unleavened Bread and your Feast of Tabernacles has to start on the Sabbath, 15th. For both of them, it's the 15th day of the month.
Right, and we already talked about that in the Decalogue. Josephus on Tabernacles, I think he talks about It's an 8-day festival celebrated by dwelling in booths and by offering sacrifices in the temple. On it, people carry in their hands branches of myrtle and willow and bow and a palm tree. The same fruit is elsewhere called citron. The feast is alluded to in the book of John. Oh, well, there's controversy. Does it have to be in the wilderness or not? There is a controversy on that. What's your stance, Brother Hassad?
Does it have to be in the wilderness?
Does it have to be in the wilderness or not?
No, I would say definitely no, because in Nehemiah, when we kept it, people were sleeping in the streets, people were sleeping near the temple, people were set up booths on top of their houses.
Right.
Oh, okay. We're dialed in. We're locked in.
Locked in. That
Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 14. It says, and they found written in the law, which the Lord had commanded by Moses, that the children of Israel should dwell in booths in the feast of the 7th month, and that they should publish and proclaim in all their cities and in Jerusalem, saying, go forth unto the mount and fetch olive branches and pine branches and myrtle branches and palm branches and branches of thick trees to make booths, as it is written.
So they kept it outside.
Yeah.
And when you see they held it by the Salakia, the roof of his house, niggas on top of his house, in the courts.
Because remember,
go ahead.
Our houses weren't like these, the shape that we have now, where it's like you can fall off the roof. Basically, I don't know how I can, almost like a triangle. Our houses had what's called a battlement. A battlement is like, if you ever seen a castle on the side, they have those little towers with the circle on the top of them. That's how we had our houses. So we were able to go on top of our roofs and set up shop and have a tent up there. But to answer the question, no, it doesn't have to be in the wilderness. Look at right here. It says, and they made themselves booths, everyone on the roof of his house. So some people had booths on their crib and in their courts and in the court of the house of God. So they were near the temple and in the street of the water gate, in the busy streets and in the street of the gate of Ephraim. This is, I really love this feast day because it really immerses you in the culture. This is really good too for kids. They'll enjoy, go camping and whatnot. But you should use imagery and just imagine all of our people. And it's basically like an 8-day cookout. Basically, it's pretty much what it is, where you're kicking it for 8 days with all your people and just, enjoying yourself, celebrating and worshiping the Most High. And you have to do this. Can you go back to the last verse? Leviticus 23, not that one, the one after that. Leviticus 23 and 42, you shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths. Don't make no damn excuse. All Israelites shall, it's not, if somebody said, hey man, I'll give you $1 million. All you got to do is sleep in a tent for 8 days. I guarantee you're going to take that $1 million and sleep in that damn tent. But God says, go do it. And now you want to make every excuse in the world for why you can't do it. That's BS. I guarantee if I put a blick to your head and said, hey, bro, you got to sleep in this tent for 8 days, you do it. No problem. No questions asked. So do it when God says it. It says that your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. These are the high holy days from Torah that would be a sin not to observe.
Right. Now, I know you guys probably thought it would be a sin not to observe Hanukkah. It would be stupid not to observe Hanukkah, which is Feast of Dedication. But sin is a transgression of the law. These are the high holy days that we find in the law. Again, I'm going to post a calendar in a second. But what are some of our feast days that are not in Torah? We have the Feast of Simon Maccabees. It's not a Sabbath. You can cook, you can feast, you can buy and sell and gather as long as it doesn't fall on the Sabbath. You can read about that in First Maccabees chapter 2, 1, 4, First Maccabees 1. What else? The memorial of Simon is kept on the 23rd day of the second month. So it's basically right after the makeup Passover and the makeup Feast of Unleavened Bread. Remember the pain and victories of our fathers and how the Almighty delivered his people from their enemies. All praises to the Most High. I'm not selling no calendars. What are you talking about, my boy? The Feast of Dedication, aka Hanukkah, is found in First Maccabees chapter 4 and other places. The Messiah observed it in John chapter 2, verse 22 and 23. It's when Antiochus Epiphanes sacked the temple, desecrated it, and we got it. We kicked him out. We refurbished it, plushed it out and rededicated it to the Most High. This is in Kislev, which would be the 9th month of the Hebrew year, on the 25th day. What do you do on Hanukkah? Feast, gather, give gifts. The Feast of Nicanor and Purim. You can also, a lot of these are going to come from the Maccabean period. Feast of Nicanor and Purim, more battles that we won with them. It's not a Sabbath. You feast, gather, celebrate the death of Esau, found in 2nd Maccabees chapter 15. You want to say something?
No.
Purim is another celebratory victory that we had according to the scrolls of Esther. So I thought I had in these slides why the 13th month. The 13th month. So the Hebrew calendar does have, we're on camera. The Hebrew calendar does have our calendar, we do have to add a 13th month, sometimes called Adar 2, and you would add it right after the 11th month, I believe. You add it after the 11th month, or you add it after the 12th month. But either way, it's the 13th month, and that just makes sure that the calendar stays in season with the solar year. You have to do it every few years. So this time I want to give y'all this calendar, but I want to show y'all the website though. And we'll open up for questions, comments, and smoke. We will open it up for questions, comments, and smoke. So right now, I want to share my screen. You guys can go to, we are still in this calendar right now. We are still in this calendar, but all we have left on this calendar, this is still the 2024 calendar. All right, so don't go screenshotting yet. Let me explain. Let me try to go. Oh my God, I can't even. You guys can't even see.
Go to the top right. Go to the top right of the picture.
Oh, let's see. No.
I think that was it. Hold on.
Nah, that's.
If you go there and then click that doesn't help at all. Yeah, you can zoom in from there, no? Or is that just how you edit it? Yeah. You gonna yeah. No. Yeah, no.
What? But I want to explain something here. We still have New Year on this calendar, and we still have Passover on this calendar. So the calendar that I'm about, this is Genesis/calendar.com. So by tomorrow morning, the new calendar will be on. Matter of fact, let me put it in the chat. Let me put it in the chat real quick. I'm gonna put the site in the chat for y'all who keep on bugging. Okay, there's the site. You need to know the constellations to know when the 13th month has come in. Not necessarily. If you see your Passover getting closer and closer to winter, then you understand when to add the 13th month. Now, there is the site, and on this site, the new calendar will be there by the morning. All right, so just wait patiently. I'll show you guys what it looks like, though. We did have another look, but we had some issues, so we had to.
You know who you are with the issues.
Let me share my screen. Okay, so it looks like the same calendar, honestly. Just different. We are who we thought you were. You are who we thought you were. Nah. So yeah, y'all, the website is in there. This is what it'll look like 2025 going into extended 2026. All the high holy days we just covered and other high holy or holy days outside of Torah that will be on there. So everybody can, like I said, give it to your job, give it to your daycare, all of that. We have this guy in the chat. Ephraim isn't in Revelation 7:5-8, and there isn't any evidence of them combining with their dad. What?
They are. It's Joseph. Of the tribe of Joseph were sealed 12,000.
What is wrong with this guy right here? Everyone's good. The sun and moon and stars are for days, months, and years. Foundational Black American Judah. What a name. What a name. Any questions, comments, and smoke? Any questions, comments, and smoke? I hope everybody was edified through the spirit and power of the Most High God. What new moon calendar do you use? My new moon calendar says March 1st. Huh?
Is that for next year or this year? Because next year.
No, next year. That's not
Passover is on March 1st. Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, sister, I don't know what new moon calendar you're using. Big G's not the little ones. You already know. Make Babylon fall again. All praises. Okay, if we don't have any questions and smoke, Hassan, what's going on?
Yeah, man, all praises. So for anybody that didn't know, I made mention of it on my channel last night, and I spoke about it briefly at the beginning of this broadcast. Your brother is getting married next month, and so people have been asking me about it. I'm obviously new, very new to all of this, and so somebody hit me up and said, "Hey, do you have a registry?" And I thought registries were only for like baby showers and stuff. So I made a registry, I think 2 days ago, not too long ago. And so I'll post that in the chat if anybody wants to show some love. If you ain't got it, that's cool. Send them a prayer. That means the world. So all praises to the Most High. Some people been having, I guess, just would rather do Cash App and stuff like that. That works too. And that's definitely much appreciated. All praises to the Most High. So, yeah, there goes my registry. It's in the chat right there. If anybody want to support, I would definitely appreciate it.
Somebody said, what makes me the priest? What makes me a priest? Because I'm an Israelite and I believe in Yahweh Shai. That's what makes me a priest. I'm an Israelite, brother. I'm a priest under the Melchizedek order.
And this is a straight biblical wedding too. This is something that you will read about. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Okay, so couple questions. Introducing, how you introduce somebody to the truth, it depends on if they're Northern Kingdom or Southern Kingdom. If they're Southern Kingdom, go to Hidden Identity of Blacks in the Bible. If they're Northern Kingdom, you got to wait till we put out our breakdown of Hidden Identity of Latinos in the Bible. Somebody says, how does a day equal nothing? That's if you count it like Esau's calendar. And we already proved in our presentation transitional days through archaeology and the Bible. So they wouldn't have counted those. That's easy. Okay.
Rasha, that's right, brother. All praise to the Most High.
Hit up the brothers Cash App too, y'all.
I appreciate y'all for real. You know what I mean? It definitely appreciate it. I didn't realize how difficult a wedding was, Deacon. I thought, nothing. And when you're doing it 26 and it's you carrying the load and boom, boom, wham, boom. What did Kendrick say? Oh, what? Wham. And like I told you, that's a totally biblical thing too. So that got to pay that dowry too. So all praise to the Most High. Yeah, that's it though. When's baby Hassad happening? Sheesh. Sheesh. Who knows? I'm not yet. I'm about to get graphic. Nah.
2026.
Right.
I'm prophesying.
Well, hold on now. Let me see.
2026.
It's
I'm
the year of new
prophesying.
beginnings. Well, that was last year. My bad.
Number eight. I keep seeing number 8. Okay, y'all. Yeah, let's end this, everybody, by giving all praises, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father Yahweh. By Shema Mashiach Yahushai. I will post the calendar link in the description box as well. Peace, blessings, y'all, and shalom.
Shalom.